Good evening and welcome to the Alamance Burlington Board of Education September 23rd meeting. Special welcome to those with us here this evening and those watching live stream. Special welcome to our ABSS staff, students, family members, county leaders, and our friends from the media. Mr. Marsh is participating with us remotely via phone this afternoon, or this evening. At this time, I will turn the floor over to Mr. Bowden for the moment of silence and Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Before we get started, let's also remember 7-year-old Mason Jenkins and his family this evening. Our thoughts and our prayers are with his family and his friends during this difficult time. I hope those responsible for this senseless act are held to the highest degree of the law. And also, let's remember the family of Mr. David Niebrig. Mr. Niebrig was a teacher and an assistant principal in the district who suddenly passed away last week. So please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. If you will, please stand for the pledge.
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Bowden. Board members, you've had an opportunity to review the agenda. Is there a motion to approve at this time?
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Dr. Parker. Is there
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Rogers. Any discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. You've also had the opportunity to review the minutes from 2 August meetings. Is there a motion to approve at this time?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Ingles. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Rogers. Any discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. And this evening, there are 2 items on our consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve those at this time?
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Mr. Rogers. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Bowden. Any discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Mr. Marsh, were you an aye? I apologize.
I'm an aye, yes.
Thank you. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. I do not have any administrative matters before the board. Dr. Fleming, special welcome to you.
Well, thank you. It's I've learned how to use the microphone. I didn't get that in my training. I do appreciate all the warm welcomes, and did want to spend just a second here to tell you I'm enjoying my visits in the schools. We've got several more to go. I've met with several individuals and have several individuals to go as well. I have visited 16 schools as of tonight and should be at 25 by the end of the week. And then hopefully we'll finish those up in the next week or two. I do have some positive thoughts and some areas of opportunities for us, but I'll wait to share those once I've visited all our facilities. And then this evening, for your information, I'm presenting my 90-day entry plan as your new superintendent, and I'm going to update this document before each meeting. And so I have sent it to you electronically, and I believe you might have a paper copy as well. Yep. And so I'll make sure we keep that updated. Even with just the blank copy you have there, several of these, I don't know if there's any I can completely cross off yet, but several of them are in progress. And then just for your information, I'm keeping in touch with our new Chief Finance Officer, Mr. Tony Messer. He has been spending some time in the district here and there, and we are patiently awaiting his arrival. And I can assure you I am impatiently awaiting his arrival. So thank you again, everyone, and Madam Chair, happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Dr. Fleming? Thank you. Welcome. We're glad you're here. At this time, oh yes, Dr. Parker, I'm sorry.
So I was going to ask Mr. Mitchell something related to updates with the Title IX regulations that, in the discussion, they had said, if there was a student at a particular school, that they might be exempted from the litigation. And I think maybe there is a school now, or I'm kind of going through the email with that. Can you say what would happen if one of the students at a school was where a parent was a member of one of the groups that was exempted previously, as far as kind of the process? What would happen with the school as far as the Title IX?
Sure, but I just want to make sure I understand the question. You're saying what would happen at a school that's on the list, or a school that's not yet on the list but might be on the list?
It's not yet on the list. Initially, ABSS did not have any schools that were on the
Correct.
list. If a student joined one of the groups, kind of what is the process, and then what would happen?
So I don't know what the process is. It's my impression that the plaintiffs groups in the Kansas litigation, Moms for Liberty as sort of the best known of them, presumably they have some process as part of the litigation where they would submit information to the court, and then a list is published. I'm not sure what, if any, checking the court does. That I don't see that as our issue. My view is that if an ABSS school appears on that list, it's not that they're exempt from Title IX, it's that the 2020 regulations would be applied if there were a complaint there. There is one school on the list, AO, and I know that there was some communication about some other schools possibly going on the list, but again, it's really only the court that can control what's legally in effect. And again, I don't know how that process works as far as the plaintiffs and the court in Kansas.
Got it. So it would not just be there's a Moms for Liberty student at a school. It would come through the court as far as the update.
Correct.
Right, thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you, Dr. Parker. At this time, I will welcome Emily Lynn Atkins and Mr. Engel for our special recognitions this evening.
Good evening, Chair Ellington Graves, members of the board, Dr. Fleming. I'm excited to bring back some long-awaited recognitions tonight. Our STAR student and STAR staff members will be recognized this evening, along with a few others. So bear with us. We have lots to celebrate tonight. We're kicking off tonight with our STAR student who should possess some of the qualities in our ABSS portrait of a graduate. So that's adaptability, balanced, self-reliant, and solution-oriented. And tonight we have Quest Garner, who is a BEJ student. Will Quest and his principal and teacher come up while I read a few words? So let's see what we have for what they had to say about Quest. Quest is a well-rounded student in the 4th and 5th grade combination class at BEJ. He is always willing to help a friend, either academically or by offering a witty way to cheer someone up. Quest is creative and tries his best on his assignments, even if the work is difficult. Quest is an asset to our class family and BEJ. Congratulations, Quest. We'll get this in just a second. And we have a trophy and a certificate for Quest.
Quest, on behalf of the LMS Burlington Board of Education, thank you, young man, for a job well done. Look at this trophy right here. You want to say a little something? Oh, okay. All right. Any other family members or teachers, anybody here that you'd like to recognize?
Quest has some
let's see who we got right
families sitting in the back who have been very supportive.
So we have Quest's whole family in the back, here to support him tonight. If y'all come up.
Come on up folks. We'll get you a picture. Thank you.
Yep, come this way. James, do you want them to double up some on the top step? Can a few of you stand on the top step? Yeah. All scooch in. There we go.
Get that as well. 3, 2, 1. And then just the family, please. Sir, can you, ma'am, can you look one back here? Actually, you're fine. 3, 2, 1. Thank you.
Thank you, folks. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Appreciate it.
All right, next up we have Miss Paula Alcorn with E.M. Holt Elementary. If you'll come on up, we'll share a few words that your school had to say about you. Miss Alcorn exhibits great character in the classroom, and she is committed to serving students. She is always positive in addressing student needs and in her interactions with everyone. Miss Alcorn demonstrates kindness, respect, and dedication to all of her students. And if I'm not mistaken, you're a teacher assistant, correct? And it's very timely because National Teacher Assistant Day is coming up, I think, at the end of next week, maybe. So thank you for the role that you play in the classroom and the support you give to students and staff at the school. Congratulations.
Ms. Alcon, on behalf of the ABSS board, thank you for a job well done. And you have anyone here with you?
She does.
All right, just
Come on up, folks. We have Principal Hersinger here and family.
yes.
We're so proud of her. Yes.
Come on. Thank you, folks. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Wonderful. Our next recognition is a state-level recognition for Madison Pierce, who was named the North Carolina New Teacher of the Year by the NC Association of Career and Technical Educators. So come on up, Madison. Got that, and we have.
Madison, thank you for a job well done.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you.
You'd like to say a few words? This is
Oh, no, I'm okay.
This is also
job.
for you.
Thank you.
Oh, thank
You have some folks here with you?
Miss Drummond's here with
All right, Miss Drummond.
Carrie Drummond is here.
Come on up, Miss Drummond.
Where'd she go? There she is. I'd like to just say a couple things, too. This award recognizes Madison's significant contributions to innovative career and technical education programs. She and I were just talking about how she is speaking at several national conferences about building curriculum in public safety. She is a model for other teachers and educators across the nation. So thank you for what you're doing in ABSS and for our students.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yep.
Appreciate it.
Okay, and last but certainly not least, we have a wonderful group of community partners from Elon University. So we are spotlighting the Dr. Joe Watts Williams School of Education Teach for Alamance group. You're like that, right? I got it right, got the long title right. So Teach for Alamance is a scholarship program that provides full tuition and a small stipend to teacher candidate graduates of the Dr. Joe Watts Williams School of Education who enroll in the Master of Education and Innovation program. What's really special is that these applicants are employees of ABSS and commit to teaching in our district for 2 years while they are doing this program. So we have 6 of the 9 Teacher Alamance participants here with us this evening. I'd love for everybody to come up, and then we have Dean Ann Bullock, Dr. Ann Bullock, and Leslie Henry here as well. So this is for each of the students.
Students.
Yep.
All right.
Students/teachers, you're our
Students.
staff and educators.
Thank you. Thank you.
You
Get you one.
too, come on. And
Thank
this
you.
is for you.
Thank you.
And y'all can take, and I'll get you another
Thank you.
one. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. You know,
So, yep, as I said, there are 9 total participants. So there's 3 that are that were in the pilot program, so they're in their second year. And these are all of our first year educators here in ABSS who are in the program. So I would love for you to introduce yourselves and say what you're teaching and where. And I know we have lots of principals out here supporting you as well, so we'd like to recognize them.
My name is Megan Malone, and I am teaching first grade at South Mebane Elementary.
Y'all tell them where you're from, too.
Oh, and I'm originally from Greenville, South Carolina.
My name is Melena Carter. I'm a third grade teacher at South Mebane, and I'm from Graham, North Carolina.
Hi, I'm Julia Kearney. I'm a very proud fourth grade teacher at North Graham Elementary, and I'm from Apex, North Carolina.
Hi, I'm Anna Sophia Steinke. I'm a fourth grade teacher at Andrews, and I'm originally from Maryland.
Hi, I'm Grant Doherty. I teach 8th grade middle at Southern Middle School, and I'm from New York.
Good evening, y'all. My name is Samuel Martin. I am a Highland Hawk first grade teacher, and I'm originally from Bradenton, Florida. Would you like to say?
Fabulous.
Send it back down.
Yeah, send it back down. So these folks are not only committed to staying in the district, but they're also committed to their own education, and we just think that is worthy of recognition. And of course, the community partnership from Elon with this innovative program is an amazing thing for our district. So thank you.
Only in this district.
Only in this district. They are
Yeah,
only supporting this.
I can't thank Elon University enough for this program. And yeah, alumnus. Thank all of you for moving here, for staying here, and we appreciate you. And if you got some friends that are in the system, bring them on. We need them. And we got family members here, I understand. Come on up. All of you. We'll get all of you up here.
Family, and we have some principals here.
Principals,
Come
please,
on up.
come on up.
Yeah. Sam's mother's here.
All right.
Yes, she's trying not to get up here.
Oh, Mom.
She was really trying.
You want us to reorganize in a different way?
Yeah, he'll get you straightened out.
Yep.
The 3 second year all teach at high schools.
All
Well,
right.
one teaches at turn time and then 2 at
That's great.
Yeah, I got that.
Is this what we're doing?
3, 2, 1.
Did any of y'all want to say anything? Anybody want to say?
Yes, let's hear a few words from Dr. Bullock.
I'll speak. So I just want to thank these young folks that are dedicated to being teachers. They're fully licensed. They're ready to go. They have nothing left to do in terms of their credentialing. They've made a huge impact already, and it was really joyful to listen to them talk about what they had done already today and what they've done in their classes with their children that they're working with. Our 3 second-year students that are working here, 2 work at a high school, both of them coach, and 1 also works at a middle school. So it's been nice to have a variety of our students from out of state and in state to stay in our community and teach, and we hope to grow it further. And we'll see who we get next year. So we were really thrilled. Our goal was to get 4, and we got 6. So I was really thrilled with this. So thank them all for coming. They've had a very long day, and they're going to go get some food.
Yes.
So thank you so much, and thanks for allowing us to be here tonight.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate that. Thank you.
That's it. Good job. Thank you. Appreciate y'all.
Thank you, Mr. Engel. Thank you, Emily Lynn, and congratulations to all of our award winners this evening. We are going to take a quick pause before we transition into public comments. we are going to move into our public comments portion of our meeting. Take a quick opportunity to briefly review our board policy, section 2310, titled Public Participation at Board Meetings. The full policy can be found online. The policy allows a minimum of at least 30 minutes at the beginning of our monthly evening meeting for public comments. Tonight, I believe we have 4 speakers. Per policy, individuals may speak for up to 3 minutes. Please note that the timer will chime after exactly 3 minutes. We do ask that you plan accordingly and respect any additional directions given. Please address the members of the board and not the audience. Board members do not respond to individuals except to request clarification of points made by the speaker. We do ask that you refrain from clapping, snapping, or vocalizing in any way at any time during our public comments. Profanity, making threats, or revealing confidential student or personnel information will not be allowed. When your name is called, please make your way to the podium, and before you begin, state your full name. And our first speaker is Robert Alvis.
Good evening, board and Dr. Fleming. It is good to have you here. And so I'm Robert Alvis, a social studies teacher at Williams High School and also president of the Alamance-Burlington Association of Educators. I come before you tonight because we are ready to announce our endorsements of candidates for the upcoming election in the November 2024 race for the school board. And we are excited to endorse Seneca Rogers, Sandy Ellington Graves, Donna Westbrooks, and Avery Wagoner. I believe that each of these candidates is a champion for public education. Seneca was appointed with widespread community support to fill a vacant seat on the ABSS school board in November and is now running to serve a full term. He's run on the platform that we are a neighborhood and emphasize inclusivity and listening to diverse stakeholders in our public school system. He said that we are the neighborhood is more than a campaign slogan, it is a movement. And I believe him. Sandy Ellington Graves has been the ABSS school board chair during some of the most tumultuous and challenging times of the board's history, such as the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic and the mold crisis of the previous year. And during this time, she's been committed to balance the many voices she hears from both on the board and the wider school community and keeping at the center what is best for Alamance Public Schools and the children that they serve. She says that her priorities are maintaining safe and healthy school environments, building community trust in the school system through transparency and accountability. Donna is a current member of the school board and also has a career of experience in education. And she emphasized her belief that all students should have a quality and equitable education and that our schools should respect the worth, dignity, and equality of all individuals. And she says that her priorities include improving school safety, enhancing teaching and learning, and building relationships between the school board and the Alamance County Commission. And lastly, Avery Wagoner will be a newcomer to the ABSS school board. His wife and children graduated from Williams High School, and he said that his desire is to ensure that every child in Alamance County has an opportunity to have a quality education. He says that every child needs an opportunity to grow and learn, and that we need to support teachers and staff to make that vision a reality. He also highlighted the financial needs for the school district and how his business background can help the community move forward in a financially responsible manner. So we believe that each of these candidates are the best choices for the ABSS school board, and we are happy to support them in the upcoming election. And we also charge the public with helping ensure that our school board has effective leadership for the next 4 years as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Al Seagraves.
Good evening. My name is Al Seagraves. In the summer of 2017, Williams High School administration and athletic department approached me and asked me if I would be interested in making a difference in young people's lives. They offered me a in-school suspension specialist, assistant football coach, assistant baseball coach, for a total of $23,000, $250 a piece for baseball and football, and $22,500 for the in-school suspension. Anyway, at 63 years old, had a difficult decision to make. I was a director of sales at Atlas Lighting Products, working for Sam Hunt, who many of you know. I was making $125,000 a year salary, and I was 2 years from retirement. I took the job, okay, and I was working with high-risk dropouts, okay? Immediately following taking the job, I noticed that the facilities were the first thing that needed improvement. If I was going to have a first-class learning environment, certainly the students needed a nice facility, a warm facility to learn and grow in. So, but I was told, and I'll back up a second. So what I did, I took $102,000 a year cut in salary for 2 years, $204,000 to be exact, okay? I took the job, I painted the ISS room, my wife Debbie painted the Bulldog logo, motivational sayings all around the room, the cost of materials and labor about $1,000 because I was told that the ABSS had no funds for it. I also, in the fall, painted the head coach's office, staff meeting room, weight room. Black mold was all over the area. The paint wasn't just chipping off or peeling off. It was blistered and falling off the walls in globs. To be honest with you, it was a pathetic embarrassment. I can only imagine being a head football coach there, having visiting families coming into this facility and want to know more about our academics and athletics. And it was a total embarrassment. What did I do? I rolled up my sleeves and I did what I always do. I went to work in September. I worked every night. I worked every weekend, and I worked through the Christmas vacation. And I completed the job, okay, on January 1st, just in time for the students to come back for the second semester. Cost materials of the job, labor, and my wife also painted a beautiful bulldog and excellence and all the things that really make it a nice facility. In spring of 2019, as an assistant baseball coach, I ran the equipment and trimmed trees that were overhanging the stadium. The fencing, the stands, it was dangerous. It was not safe. I'll have to come back. I guess my 3 minutes are up.
Yes, sir, thank you.
And I will be back next month because I think it's important for the new superintendent and for the board to understand exactly who I am.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Coach.
What I've done for this district.
Our next speaker is Sherry Kane.
Okay, my name is Sherry Kane. I'm here on behalf of my grandson. He was at E.M. Yoder. And my daughter-in-law got a phone call on Wednesday giving her 2 days to move him because she's in the wrong district. Well, when she put in her address, it brought up E.M. Yoder. So eventually, of course, that's where you're going to take him because that's where it says. She filled out the paperwork, registered him for school. But the whole point is, I think I'm trying to be polite about it. I don't feel he should be moved for the school board not catching the mistake. Because when she brings up her address, it brings up E.M. Yoder. Or it'll bring up Orange County. She's right on the board. So Greg Holland told her she had 2 days either to pull him out or pay $2,000 tuition. If she would have known that from the get-go, they probably would have paid the money. So now they packed his stuff up Friday because he had to leave early because his brother had to have surgery. So now he's not in school. I feel they shouldn't have to pay the tuition because the school board, and the people that go through the registration, they should have picked it up. I mean, that's quality. You do your job. So now he's not in school. He didn't go to school today, and even the principal was upset about it. I mean, it's not her fault. They did what they were supposed to do. They put in the address, that's what came up. You know, she's a new mom, he just started school. So you're gonna pull him out of somewhere he's already comfortable. You know, it's hard enough for a kindergartner. And then pull him and well, now you gotta go start here. That's not fair.
Is your grandson's name Dalton?
Yeah. Well, it said you can't use names.
Okay. We have an update for you that I think
Okay.
Miss Dr. Davis can help you with that I think that you'll be pleased with.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for being here.
I wouldn't have come, but.
Advocacy is important. Thank you. And our last speaker is Siobhan Vai.
So my name is Siobhan Vai. I am a special education teacher at E.M. Holt and also agriculture teacher throughout the county. So I want to say hello to the school board and our new superintendent. Welcome. I am speaking towards the policy for the grant of 8210 that is coming up. I have read the policy. I want to thank all the ones who listened to me when I came last month. Also, all the letters that I sent to you and didn't just pass it without really listening to what was happening. The policy is important because it's going to affect others in the future. And so protecting the grantors and the grantees is very important. One thing that I want to say is, I have come to a realization that, I did lose one of the grants. I wrote 3 grants for the project that I had. The greenhouse is, in fact, at E.M. Holt, but it is sitting in a building right now because I do not have the funds to put it up. So I have a very, very expensive shed right now. 2 of the grants were actually to be rescinded, and as of 2:30 today, they still have not been rescinded. The grantors want to let it follow the project in which it was intended, and so I'm asking for help. I know that it was an extreme circumstance, and I know when I talked to Dr. Harrison, he said it was supposed to follow, but it hasn't gotten there yet. And so right now, the students, the staff, the community cannot enjoy the project because right now I can't do anything with it. So I'm asking for support and help with that because I don't know what else to do. I've reached out, so I'm not sure where to go from there. So hopefully our new superintendent maybe can help me out since the new policy is going to state that's kind of the way that we're going. Because it's very important, agriculture is important to me. I think it's, important not just our students, but it embodies so much character. And right now, the project I have is on hold. It's been on hold for over a year. Now we're going another year. I've been told I have to rewrite grants, which is fine. I'm up for the challenge. I've wrote tens of thousands of dollars in grants, and that's okay. But what's not okay is that the money has not been rescinded and has been asked to be rescinded multiple times back to the grantor so they can do the correct paperwork. So I'm asking for help there. So whatever we need to do to get that to be done, I would appreciate that. And like I said, the whole thing is been extreme, and I know it's going to affect a lot of people. And so I'm very grateful that you did listen, and the policy is going to go forward in a positive way, that the stakeholders have a voice, because I did not have that voice over the summer. And so now I'm going to just move forward what I've got, and I'm going to give it everything I've got so that the project can take forward for the community, for the staff, for the students, because it is an impactful event. And then lastly, I would love for all the funds to be fixed because I am supposed to go in November to be presented for one of the grants, and I'd love to have a report for them. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I want to say thank you to all the speakers that came out this evening. At this time, do you have anything for Superintendent Finance? We will invite Ms. Ravonda Johnson, our Chief Academics Officer, to the podium for school improvement plans.
Before I start that, this evening I laid in front of you a poster, 2 posters, one in English, one in Spanish, as well as some flyers. We hope that you'll take those, and we know that sometimes when you're out in the community as board members, maybe you can ask them if we can post them. Our high school options fair is October 5th, so that's not this coming up Saturday, but the next. And this is a great opportunity for folks in our community to learn what is offered in high school. And it's never too late to start. We even encourage elementary and middle school families just to come out so they can start thinking through that. But we'll be at the Holly Hill Mall from 9 until noon, sharing all that we offer. So we hope that you'll do that and help us get the word out. So good evening, Chairwoman Ellington Graves, Dr. Fleming, School Board. Tonight I want to bring you a presentation on school improvement plans. And our school improvement plans are how we build a stronger future for our schools. A school improvement plan is a strategic plan that is designed to enhance the academic performance and overall school environment. So that plan is what we use to guide our schools. It focuses specifically on measurable goals that address the unique needs of the school. That's what our school improvement plan does. Why do they matter? First of all, it drives academic success. We look at the data and we say, how can we improve? We align our resources with the goals and our strategies. So just like when you set out to go on vacation and you're making a plan, you don't just inadvertently jump in the car and just go and hope that everything works out. You sit and you plan it so that you can align your resources to ensure it's the best vacation ever. That's how we do our school improvement plans. It's also continuous improvement. It encourages ongoing assessment and monitoring. So a school improvement plan, what our principals and the leadership team does is they're constantly progress monitoring the plans to see, are we doing what we said we're doing? And if we're not, then what? So it's constantly looking at it. I can remember, and of course this is showing my age, back in the day, we did our school improvement plans. They were in a notebook and we put them on the shelf, and I don't know that we ever pulled them back off again, I'll be honest with you. We're lucky today that our school improvement plans are online, and I'll talk about that in a few minutes. But the continuous improvement allows us to continue monitoring, and then it's accountability. It's holding us accountable for the goals that we set. When we're not where we need to be and meeting those goals, then we can look at our strategies to see, are we really implementing it? And if we are, then what isn't working? And if we're not, it holds us accountable for ensuring that we all do. How are they developed? School improvement plans aren't just thought up by the principal. There's multiple people involved. It should be the school leadership team, which has parents on it. In some cases, it has students on it. And the community can give feedback. For example, the school improvement plans that you'll be voting on tonight, we have those plans on our parent website, our Parents' Right to Know website, so that they could look up their school improvement plan before you voted tonight. We also use data analysis. We don't just sit and say, oh, what would be a good goal this year? We look at where our data is. You'll notice that in some of the school improvement plans, attendance was huge because we know people have to be in school in order to learn. We also made sure that for some of our students, behavior was an issue. So what are we doing to combat that behavior to keep kids in school? And then we do goal setting. We prioritize what is achievable. If we set a goal way too high that we know we're not going to meet, that could be a long-term goal, but we have to set short-term goals so that we feel some type of a success. Because just like kids, if they don't see that there's a means to the end, they get frustrated. So can we as adults. What is your role in the board, is the board's role in school improvement plans? First of all, oversight and approval. You guys need to make sure that what we're doing is aligned with our district plan, and you need to make sure that you say, okay, this is what you're doing, then we need to make sure that it's aligned with what we're saying we're doing before we approve it. The other thing is to support and give resources. When we start planning in budget season, this is when you say, okay, if we're going to do this, this is where our money needs to be. If we're saying that attendance is important, or our reading or math isn't, what are the things that we're going to put in place to make that happen? And then you need to make sure that we're monitoring the progress, and you need to monitor the progress. We should be giving regular progress reports and reviews in order to hold schools accountable for their goals. We have to talk about academics in order for that to matter. So what does ABSS do? First of all, we write our goals early. So we make sure that we meet in the summer symposium. We do the federal government. We use federal funds to be able to pay for our teachers who are off contract to come in, and we get with those folks and they sit and look at where they were this past year. So for instance, this past June, all of our schools came out. They had 2 days. We had early data so that we could see what that looked like. We had our EOG scores, we had our EOC scores, we had our CTE data. So we used that data to say, where did we end? Now, where do we want to be? And the school improvement teams, the feedback that we've gotten for the last couple years is they love that time because it's dedicated just to them and working on those school improvement plans so that we can move forward. We use a platform called NC Star, and that is where our school improvement plans are housed for every school, and then our district improvement plan is also housed in NC Star. If you go on each school's website, it'll have a guest login so that you can get in there and look at the schools, as well as the district has a district login. That's when I was talking about we use this platform here. It's electronic, so it makes it more accessible. Back when I was younger, we would have to pull out that notebook and go through and hope we could find what we said we were going to do. This allows us to constantly, school improvement teams meet monthly, and they can look at where they're supposed to be monthly in order to update the progress on those goals. And of course, our school leaderships do. Our school improvement plan should be the center of what all of us do. Again, when we come to school every day, we don't just wake up and say we're going to move forward and hope somebody learns today. We actually have a plan. And I wanted to highlight one just so that you could sort of see it. This year, Grove Park removed themselves from the low performing list, and I went back to their school improvement plan for last year. And so, for instance, one of their goals is because they knew kids needed to be in school in order to learn. One of their goals is they had identified students who did not have behavior plans, but they had 5 or more office referrals in the previous school year. And they met with those kids to put something in place before school started so that they could keep those kids in school. And they drafted plans to help those kids so that when they did start to make a poor decision, hopefully they wouldn't and they would be able to go forward. Another thing that Grove Park had put down was that the Director of Accountability will collaborate with the school administration and grade 3 through 5 teams to analyze data and determine focus groups for proficiency and growth. And they did that regularly. They brought in our accountability group and they sat and they met and they identified kids and what interventions that they needed. Our K through 5 classroom teachers also used our district curriculum coordinators as needed in order to help model classrooms so that they could look at what is it that how we need to be teaching this, and they would model. That was also one of their strategies. And then a last strategy they had is they looked at their grade 3 through 5 classroom teachers, and they created a roster of those students after each check-in who had not mastered the standard. They pulled them for intervention and they retaught it. So Grove Park is just one of our 38 schools who strategically used their school improvement plan in order to drive the success that they had. And it wasn't just a one and done year. They had been doing this over a couple years, but I wanted to highlight for you exactly what you may have saw with the school improvement plans. So with that, I am asking, I will share with you that if you'll remember last year in November, I'll be bringing you, for our low performing schools, we have to add additional strategies. So that will come back in November, but for this evening, the school improvement teams have taken their school improvement plans to their staff. The staff has voted their approval, and yes, we're committed to making this happen. And so this evening, I'm asking for you to vote for the school improvement plans that I submitted to you, unless you have more questions.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson. Any questions? Yes, Mr. Engel.
Comments. There's a lot of work went into this by all these teachers and staff. I mean, a lot of work. And with saying that, Madam Chair, I need to recuse myself from Alexander Wilson voting on that because I've got two daughters and a son-in-law that were actively involved in their plans. So if we could we take two votes? One, leaving AW out, and then for AW, if we could.
Yes, absolutely. Is that agreeable with the board? Okay. Any questions or comments before we entertain a motion? Yes, Mr. Rogers?
Yes. Similar to Dan, this is a lot of work that went into these improvement plans, and just looking through them over this past weekend and everything, I can see like all of the notes in there, what stuff is assigned, dates and everything. And so, Ms. Johnson, I just want you to repeat out to folks where parents can find these improvement plans, because I really want these parents to go out there and look at them also, to know that, of course, our staff is working very hard on getting these more improvements happening in our schools and with our students. So I want them to know where they can go out and look at these and see all of this great detail and information from this hard work that was put into these plans.
Yes, so there's two places that you can go and look. Number one, on our parents' rights page. We put all of our school improvement plans on there just so that families could be able to see them. And then secondly, you can also go to any school, and on their web page, it should be their school improvement team and school improvement plan, and there will be a guest login and guest password, and anyone can go, you guys, anyone in the community can go to those schools and look at and see that, as well as our district. As I said, we have our district improvement team meets twice a month, and we make sure that we put our minutes out there, and as well as what we discuss, just like the schools.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Rogers.
I have a question. Thank you, Ms. Johnson, for sharing all of this with us, and kudos to all of the staff who have participated in these. I've done it many times myself, so I know all the hard work that goes into play. With that said, you are correct in that part of our responsibility is monitoring and making sure. I know school leadership teams meet monthly, but in terms of reporting back to us, what's a realistic thing? Is that something monthly? I don't.
Right. I would suggest that quarterly I could
Okay.
bring information for you guys, because I do think it's important that we're looking at that, because that's what drives the success that we're going to have in the district.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, then I'll look forward to
Sounds
seeing
good.
you again in a quarter,
Sounds
right?
great.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Westbrooks.
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we approve all of these school plans, with the exception of Alexander Wilson at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Engel. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Rogers. Any discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
And I'll make the motion that we approve the school improvement plan for Alexander Wilson Elementary.
Thank you, Mr. Rogers. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Bowden. Any discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously, 6-0. Thank you.
And last but definitely not least, I do have a couple of field trips that came in after the work session. EM Holt is requesting permission to take their students to the Outer Banks March 31st through April the 2nd. Again, no kid will be left because of funding. They'll be doing fundraising, and there will be opportunities if scholarships are needed to have. Southern High School has been invited to perform in Florida at Walt Disney World, April 10th through the 14th. The cost to go down there is $1,041, but they're committed to doing fundraisers so that no child is left behind if you approve this evening. And once again, our Southern High School FFA group has made it to the Nationals. There will be 11 students and 2 graduates who will be going to Indianapolis at no cost, October 21st through October 25th, representing the district.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson. Any questions or comments?
Motion to approve all three of them.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Dr. Parker. There's a motion and a second to approve all 3 field trips as presented. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously, 7-0. Thank you, Ms. Johnson.
Thank you.
At this time, I'll welcome Dr. Christy Davis, our Chief Student Services Officer.
Good evening, Madam Chair, board members, and Dr. Fleming. I bring to you Policy 8210 again for a final vote, grants and funding for special projects. As you can see, the following language has been edited at the bottom, where it has added in that we will collaborate with the grantor and grantee to consider any extraordinary circumstances.
Any questions or comments? Dr. Davis?
I would just say thank you. Thank you to staff for working on this, and I know we've tossed this around a couple of times, but I'm very appreciative of that. So, Dr. Fleming, I know you were here for the first discussion, but will we be able, passing this policy tonight, will we be able to have some conversation with Ms. Vi about the greenhouse moving forward?
Yeah, absolutely. I think what this does is it points out or allows us when we see a situation that is a extenuating circumstance for us to make an exception, if you will, to the rule in either moving funds, items, real property, whatever it may be. I think the only, and there's nothing we can do about this, the only hiccup, if you will be if the grantor is just adamant that they don't want that money, item, whatever it may be, to move to another school. We certainly can meet with them. We can have that discussion with them. But ultimately, if they are not willing to do that, there's not much we can do. But what this does allow us, if the grant is given to ABSS and we see where this is a situation where the money or item, whatever it may be, needs to be moved, we can approve that. And so I think this fixes the problem we have seen here and should address anything in the future.
Thank you. Motion to approve.
Thank you, Mr. Bowden. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Rogers. Any discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Dr. Davis.
So next are the 17 policies that were a part of the North Carolina School Board Association's policy updates. This is a second reading for these policies, so I am asking for a vote tonight. Are there any questions about specific policies?
Yes, Mr. Rogers.
Yep, and my question is around the visitors to the schools.
Mm-hmm.
And Section E, where it was talking about the non-Alamance Burlington School System service providers on campus.
Yes.
I see where it has the verbiage down here. I guess that is the added-on verbiage about administration is authorized to develop procedures through which students may receive limited individual mental health counseling on school grounds from approved qualified mental health agencies during the school day. But then up above, it's also talking about that does not permit private professional service providers. So I'm just trying to understand how would that work out for some of our students, because I know some students do have a private provider possibly that sometimes looking to meet at the actual school. And I'm just trying to make sure we're not going to hinder them receiving the services that they need for these things. So I'm just wondering about that.
So when we originally edited this policy or revised this policy back in February, I believe it was 2024, we added the language about everything you see under E about the service providers, because we were seeing an influx of the applied behavior analysis support ABA specialists that were trying to come in through the EC realm, and that is something that we work with through our EC teams. So then what we realized is adding the language that we added in back in February, it kind of almost, I didn't say disqualified, but limited our ability to bring in our outside mental health therapists that we have MOUs with. So we wanted to add that additional language in here that would permit them, if they have an MOU with us, to work with the schools through our process for them to be able to come in and provide that support to the students.
Thank you for that clarification, Dr. Davis.
Thank you, Mr. Rogers. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, is there a motion? Dr. Parker? Did you have a question? Yes, sir.
Motion to approve policies as
Second.
presented.
Thank you, gentlemen. Any discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Marsh. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Absolutely. So next, I have a series of gifts to the district. First, we have Southern Alamance High School Carpentry Department received a donation of lumber and boards worth approximately $1,500 from Home Depot. Next, we have the Alamance Burlington School System Student and Family Services Department received school supplies for students in need valued at $1,500 from the Misfits RC Alamance Riders Against Child Abuse. Next, Southern Alamance Middle School received 2 donations totaling $4,000 to be used for the football program, supplies, uniforms, and helmets. Johnson for Sheriff Committee and Newton's Fire and Safety Equipment each donated $2,000. Hawfield's Middle School football program received a donation of $3,500 from RW Schoolfield Electrical Contractors. Funds will be used to purchase new uniforms and equipment for our student athletes. The Alamance Community Foundation donated $8,790 to the district's Needy Children's Fund. And lastly, we have E.M. Yoder Elementary received $7,250 to be used for tree removal and pathway on the grounds of E.M. Yoder that came from E.M. Yoder PTA, which is a total of $26,540 for this month.
Thank you, Dr. Davis, and thank you to the generosity of many community partners. Any comments or questions from the board?
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Mr. Bowden. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Dr. Parker. Any discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously 6-0. Thank you, Dr. Davis. We're going to take a 5-minute recess, and then we'll return with Mr. Hook at the podium. We are back in open session. At this time, I'll welcome Greg Hook, our Chief Operations Officer, to the podium.
Madam Chair, Dr. Fleming, members of the board, I have 6 voting items to present to you tonight. Our first item is a roofing contract for Western Alamance Middle School. The value of the contract is $1,241,800. The source of these funds are bond funds, and this roof is part of the roofing capital improvement plan funded by the county commissioners.
Thank you, Mr. Hook. Questions, comments?
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Mr. Bowden. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Dr. Parker. Any discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you. The next item I have, we have camera and keyless door entry systems for East Lawn, Sylvan, and Elon Elementary Schools. The source of these funds are the North Carolina Safety Grant. We were awarded that grant back in the spring. We've done design on these projects and ask you to approve them.
Thank you, Mr. Hook. Is there a motion? Questions, comments? Yes, Mr. Rogers.
Mr. Hook, for these with the keyless entry and the security cameras, when will the possible upgrades or work for this start at these places? Do we have any idea? or the time frame?
We
it would
hope
take?
within 30 days. I mean, it's typical for our contracts to have a notice to proceed 30 to 45 days. The company that's doing these is the company that we typically have performing these projects, so they should get started fairly quickly. We do have a couple of other projects running at the same time. You all approved replacing the cameras at Graham High School and Eastern High School several weeks ago, and the same company is doing that project as well. And then we're also wrapping up at some of the middle schools. The cameras are all working, but they're still working on some of the door access issues at some of the schools. So we have to utilize all of these funds from the North Carolina Safety Grant by June 30th of 2025. So we know this one's a priority.
Thank you, Mr. Hook.
Any other questions or comments from the board?
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Mr. Rogers. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Engel. Any discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
The next item that I have is the migration of fire alarm panels and notification devices in 4 schools. I mentioned to you all in the weeks past that we have 4 schools that have fire panel systems that are no longer supported and need to be replaced. These were part of the PAYGO spending plan for 24-25. So the 4 panels that are going to be replaced, Haw River Elementary, and these also include the notification devices throughout the school. Haw River Elementary, $89,476. B. Everett Jordan Elementary, $96,789. Woodlawn Middle, $127,392. And the Hallfields Garrett Complex, $216,516.
Any questions or comments for Mr. Hook?
I guess it's just worth noting for the public that these panels and these systems are tied into local communications here, the 911 center. So when they activate, they're automatically alerted as well.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Bowden. Mr. Engel?
So are we functioning at all schools now once we get these finished, or do we have some more that need to be replaced?
Fire alarm panels. These are the only 4 schools, well, Hallfields Garrett Complex, that have these Siemens panels that are no longer supported. I think they announced about 10 years ago they're going to stop supporting these, and then quite a number of years ago they stopped making parts for these, so that they need to come out. But yes, these are the only 4 that need to come out at this time.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Engel. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, is there a motion before the board?
So moved.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Second.
I'll take that as a second. Dr. Parker?
We looked at each other.
There's a motion and a second on the floor to approve the fire alarm panels totaling $530,173. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Hook.
The next item that I have is window blind replacements at Newland Elementary, Southern Middle School, and Southern High School. These were part of the PAYGO plan that I presented to you in March, and the PAYGO plan that was funded by the Board of Commissioners. So the value of the contracts at these 3 schools, Newland Elementary, $35,000, Southern Middle School, $45,000, and Southern High School, $120,000.
Thank you, Mr. Hook. Questions or comments?
You said 45 for Southern Middle is 40,000. Is that correct?
Oh, 40,000. I apologize. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Motion to approve.
Dr. Parker?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Westbrooks. Any discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Hook.
The next item that I have is a contract for the purchase and installation of a playground system at Garrett Elementary School. The value of the contract is $109,053.93. This is a combination of funds, $50,000 from an Impact Alamance grant. This is the last school that is going to receive a playground from the original Impact Alamance grants. And then the school PTO is putting $59,053.39 with that to make it a really large playground system.
Thank you, Mr. Hook. Questions or comments?
Yeah, I was just going to say thank you to Impact Alamance for the funds, and then also thank you to the hard work of the Garrett Elementary PTO for what they raised for this also too. And I make the motion to approve.
Thank you, Mr. Rogers. Second. See you here a second. Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Bowden. Any discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Special thank you to our partners at Impact Alamance and our PTO. Thank you, Mr. Rogers. And our last one?
Yes, the last item that I have for you is the approval of the deed for the easement next door at East Lawn Elementary School. Had presented to you all for a resolution several weeks ago, and then also to the Board of Commissioners for a resolution so that we could move forward with this sale of land. But we're selling 0.245 acres for the right-of-way. And there'll also be some land that's documented here for drainage easement and utility easement. So the value of the sale is $118,175. The offer was $88,175, but we countered back with an additional $30,000 to replace fencing and some of the gardening materials for the East Lawn student garden.
Questions or comments for Mr. Hook?
Mr. Hook, before I know you had said that that garden and some other things was going to have to possibly be turned a different way or something off of this. Am I correct with that?
Yes. If you go over to the school, you can see some stakes where they have marked different parts of this plan. Some things are marked as utility easement, some as drainage easement. And so if you go into the playground, you'll see a couple of stakes that are there to one side, and that's where a utility pole and a guide wire will go. There'll be one there, and there'll be one in the location where the greenhouse was located or was going to be located. So we want to stay to the inside of the power poles and guide wires. So we'll end up taking out part of the fence and garden area and then enlarging it. It'll be in the same location, but instead of going towards the road, we're going to go towards the back sidewalk that goes along the back of that property. We'll actually enclose a larger space in that area, so they'll have space for replacing some of the garden components, as well as space for other types of activities they want to do within the fence.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question.
Yes, Mr. Marsh.
So, are we going on record that we are earmarking the $30,000 that we got extra to replace the garden and the fencing and what they need to kind of repair all of that?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
And Mr. Hook, and you may have said this, but the $88,175, that is returned to the county to use towards capital?
Well, the way the statute reads, if you have outstanding bond debt, then the county commissioners would have choice between using it for retirement of bond debt or capital improvements. That would be their choice.
Thank you. I just want to make sure the public knew how we were going to use that, or how the $88,000 was going to be used.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Any other questions or comments? Is there a motion before the board this evening?
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Dr. Parker. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Marsh. Any discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously 7-0. Thank you, Mr. Hook.
Thank you.
At this time, we will move into board and superintendent comments. Yes, Mr. Rogers.
First, I just want to thank our staff, the cabinet for all of y'all hard work, all of our staffs in our schools for their hard work around, especially those school improvement plans and working to get those things up and running and their continuous work from year to year around those. Also, thank you to all the public speakers who came out and spoke tonight. I know standing up at that podium is not an easy thing for some folks, but we truly appreciate it and having that public input. And our star student and star staff member, also Mrs. Pierce, who was recognized nationally for all of her hard work that she's doing, and that Teach for Alamance. I'm always talking to folks about recruitment of teachers, but also that retention piece of teachers and how we can offer up as much things as possible through partnerships with our teachers and their professional development and what they want to do to continue to grow. I won't go into the fact of master's pay for these teachers, but I'm just saying. But also to another piece, I want to thank our district staff for all of their work with our local law enforcement agencies around those pranks or whatever those threats that happen on social media. And their hard work with making sure they provided all the information possible to law enforcement to assess those threats, taking those threats seriously, because the safety of our schools, our students, our teachers, and all of our staff is a serious thing. So I want to thank our staff for their work with law enforcement on that. And then this last piece that I want to talk about, I'm going to try to talk about it. There's a 7-year-old kid who today did not go into a classroom that parents are having to make arrangements for, that young kids are having to deal with a thing that they should not have to deal with as 7-year-olds. To not have a classmate there with them, a teammate there with them. I know this evening the Air Cavs was doing a balloon release for this kid that played on their team. And just to say, it makes no sense. It truly does not make any sense for this to go on in this community. People want safe communities. Kids want to just be kids and play. And this should not be a situation that they should be having to deal with at this moment. So, like Mr. Bowden said at the beginning, thoughts and prayers are with that family, but it's more than that for this family, for this community, and it's more that needs to be done when situations like this happen. This is just a truly sad situation.
Mr. Rogers. Yes, Mr. Engel.
And I concur with Mr. Rogers. My heart and my prayers go out to the family of this young man. What a tragedy. And it's just going to take time to recover, and I don't know what we can do to stop this violence that's going on in our nation. But somehow we've got to reach out to these young men and say, look, you don't need to be carrying guns. You don't need to be carrying guns, and you know, whatever it takes. Because a lot of times the innocent suffer, and we just see it time and time again. I'd also like to just reach out to Mr. Niebrick's family, his wife and family down in Charlotte. He actually taught my youngest girls, Candy and Mandy, in band, and they loved him to death, and just what a tragedy that he passed away. But just a great man, a great teacher, a great educator. He just did a great job, and my prayers are also with that family. Then I went to Grandparents' Day at Audrey Garrett for my youngest grandson last week, and I couldn't even get in the parking lot. I've never seen so many grandparents. I walk in the building and it's just wall-to-wall grandparents everywhere. I said, well, let's just pop on down today. And they'd all laughed when I said that. But just the staff was great, the principal and staff and the teachers for Cooper, and it was just a great day. So it's been a bad week in a lot of ways, a sad week in a lot of ways. But last week was a pretty good week for me. So that's about it. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Engel. Ms. Westbrooks?
Yes. I won't take the time to repeat everything that these two gentlemen said, because I feel the same way in terms of our speakers and our folks who were recognized tonight. And of course, my heart too breaks for the families of Mason and Dave Niebrig. So absolutely, please keep all of those folks in your prayers. I will say, as a member of the DARE committee in Burlington, that we, I guess, are hosting a golf tournament. So any of you guys who play golf, any of you folks out there, if you are interested, it's going to be October the 24th, and I believe the cost is $40 per golfer. So if you are interested in registering, please contact Tony Laws at the Burlington Rec Department, or if you are a business person who would like to donate prizes and help out the cause as well, you can contact Officer Carlos Gonzalez, who's our DARE officer for the Burlington Police Department. Or email me if I need to give you those numbers. I'll be glad to do that. So thank you all for coming, and Cabinet, of course, always thank you for all the hard work that you do. And day 4, Dr. Fleming, you're doing pretty good. You're still here. So thank you. All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Ms. Westbrooks. Dr. Parker?
Yeah, so I was going to welcome Dr. Fleming for his first full meeting, and I know the school visits are going well and everyone's happy to see him. My daughter emailed me saying, the superintendent's at my school. I said, well, you should talk to him. I don't know if she did or not, because kids, I also want to reiterate, it was great to see the Teach for Alamance folks here today, and to thank all the people all the folks who gave gifts to the district, and I won't read the full names because they were read earlier, and thanks also to Impact Alamance as far as the playground. I did want to say that the YouTube channel is being updated with the meeting, so please like and subscribe, as they say. And the last thing was, this was on the consent agenda, so I wasn't able to read this at the time, but for the Europe field trip, I looked up all the countries that have "the" officially at the beginning of their names. This is very short. The Bahamas, the Gambia, the Netherlands, the United Kingdom, and the United States of America. And that's all I have today. Thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Parker. Mr. Marsh?
I'd just like to echo my colleagues' statements, and again, thank for all of the support of the community, all those donations. That's pretty incredible. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Marsh. Mr. Bowden? I would just say, I think you all have said it really well. Lots that needed to be said tonight. I think for us as board members, we get a front row seat to what happens in the district, and there's a lot of celebration, there's a lot of challenge, there's a lot of heartwarming moments, but there's also a lot of heartbreaking moments. And, I think we as community members, as parents, grandparents, and here in the district, it weighs heavy. So just thoughts and prayers to those families this evening and in the days ahead. And very special welcome to Dr. Fleming, and I will turn the floor over to you for your first official superintendent comments.
Well, thank you, Madam Chairman, and I said a lot of what I wanted to share earlier at the beginning of the meeting, but you're absolutely right. I think ABSS has so much to be proud of, so much to celebrate, and yes, we will have these trying times and times of sadness and doubt, but we know that we can help these individuals by sharing a message of hope, and just as Mr. Rogers mentioned earlier, and trying to answer some of those questions by preventing it, no matter what it may be. And so I do appreciate those comments. But We've got so many wonderful things going on. I know we will continue them. I am still learning. As I have mentioned earlier, every night I'm ready to go to bed. I'm tired because I have been up trying to remember everybody's name and meet and greet and all that. So probably more, I guess you could say, mental exhaustion than physical. But it has been a wonderful, almost a week and a couple, gosh, not even that, but a couple more days to a week. But I do appreciate the welcome, the hospitality that everyone has shown, and so far I've enjoyed being not only an employee but also a resident here in Alamance County, and I know that will continue. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Fleming. I believe at this time, Ms. Westbrooks has a motion for the board.
Yes, ma'am. I make a motion we enter closed session pursuant to North Carolina General Statutes 143-318-11A3 to preserve attorney-client privilege, North Carolina General Statutes 143-318-11A6 to consider confidential personnel information protected under North Carolina General Statutes 115C-319 and 115C-321.
Thank you, Ms. Westbrooks. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, gentlemen. Any discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Marsh. Motion carries unanimously. We will move into closed session at this time. We are back in open session. I will welcome our Chief Human Resources Officer, Yolanda Anderson, to the podium.
Good evening, Madam Chair, Board of Education, Dr. Fleming. I'm coming to you tonight to ask that you approve the personnel report as presented in closed session.
Motion to approve as presented.
Thank you, Dr. Parker. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Rogers. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Ms. Anderson. Is there any other business before the board this evening?
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Dr. Parker.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Engel. Any discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.